Daf Chavav Amud Aleph. Towards the end of Masechta Ma'asros, and that's exactly where we're up to. Chavav. Rabbi Yirmiyah boy, Karkamin. Rabbi Yirmiyah asked by Karkamin. We stalled so we got here. Right here by Karkamin. We are 3, 6, 7 lines to the bottom. Yes. I don't know if you want to sit over there today. It's awful cold over there. But Rabbi Yirmiyah by Karkamin. Rabbi Yirmiyah asks, what's by Karkamin? Now, this is really not a Ma'asros issue. This is really a Shemitah issue. Karkamin seems to be, generally we translate Karkamin as saffron, but saffron is edible. And whatever Karkamin we're talking about here, it's not edible. So it's not clear exactly what it is. So it's a type of seed. If it grew on Shemitah, there are problems Svichim. So it's seeds which grow in Shemitah, which are cultivated for food purposes, have a problem Svichim. They're prohibited to eat during Shemitah. Generally, according to most opinions, the Rabbana, according to Rabbi Akiva D'Oraisa. So this karkamin, which grew during Shemitah, what's its status vis-a-vis Svichim? Rabbi Yitanchum Bar Yirmiyah, sorry, Yitanchum Bar Yirmiyah asked, didn't we learn how chashud al shvis? Do you have chashud? Do you have the word chashud? So if it's suspect on shvis, ain't loichem and a pishra, you're not allowed to buy from him a flax, afilu sark, even if it's combed out. So pishtin lav kis minu. Well, it seems like you're not allowed to buy because it's a svichim. Well, pishtan, that's a twig, and nonetheless, it's also to buy. So we see you're not allowed to buy stuff because it has shemitah problems, even if it's not necessarily edible, right? So says the Gemara, Rabbi Chinana mivnei zara. That's if you know why the flax has a problem with svichim, because flax seed is edible. You can make oil out of it and stuff like that. So it's not to go out there. It's not like the curcumin, which is completely inedible. It's a completely different issue. I can't accept that that's why the flax has a problem during Shemitah. If it's because of the seed, didn't we learn hachashud lios mocher truma lechulin? Some of you suspect. I don't know if we ever had this before. No, we didn't have this. Some of you suspect to sell truma as chulin. In other words, he pulls the wool over people's eyes and he sells truma as if it is regular mundane food. Ain't lochamenu mayu melech. You can't buy from him even water and salt. So is there any seed in salt and water? Obviously not, right? So it can't. Why? It's not even the Gemara is not being precise. What the Gemara means to ask is there's no truma by salt and water, right? Yet nonetheless you can't buy salt and water from this guy. Why? Because he's a suspicious fellow. So we find his commerce that he can't do any business with him whatsoever. So la mishum knas, right? So too it could well be that by the flax, you know why we forbid you from using this flax on, or rather why we give the flax the status of svichim on shvis. I'll tell you why. It could be because of knas. Could be it's a fine. It really doesn't have to do with the seed at all. And therefore we have no proof that seeds generate the chiyuv of shvis, or the din of shvis. Menachem bar Mavsima, Achui was the brother, the youngest son Kippah, b'shem Rabbi Ami, and Rabbi Ami. Pishta nikachas mikolan b'shvis. Pish could be acquired from anybody in Shemitah. You name it, you can buy it from anybody. Why? Because it's generally not eaten. It's generally not a food stuff. So it says the Gemara, the Tamar, that's only true b'sheni if you don't know if the guy is suspect or not. But if you know for sure he's suspect, also you're not allowed to buy from him flax during Shemitah. Why? Because that may indeed be flax, which is cultivated for the purpose of the flaxseed, and therefore it's also during Shemitah. It could be a flat out knas too. That's true. If you know he's kosher, then he can't buy it because of knas. Good point. Zuga krive d'Ravada barava. Ravada bar Zavta. Zuga was a relative of Ravada bar Zavta. B'shem Revo Sene Rav Yavo. Bikia, which is the famous animal father known in English as Vetch. Mikachas Mikol Adam Shvis. You can buy it from anybody during Shemitah. Now it's got Kedusha Shvis because it is animal fodder, but it's generally not held to be Svichim. Why? Because Svichim are anything which is normally cultivated during the other 6 years, even if it grows wild during Shemitah, it's also because of Svichim. But this is not normally cultivated. They don't usually cultivate vetch because it's only an animal fodder. So therefore it doesn't have, although it has Kedusha Shvis, it's not Svichim. Therefore, you have to conduct yourself with sanctity vis-a-vis it, but it is permissible to eat. Okay? Therefore, you can buy it Mikol Adam B'Shvis. Rabbi Yisrael said, Masli Sulam Raken. Our Mishnah doesn't say that. Our Mishnah says, Masli Sulam Raken. Didn't our Mishnah already say this? Our Mishnah, we already learned this for our Mishnah, that this is the case. No, it's not. I was right the first time. It's a kasha. Our Mishnah doesn't say this way. Our Mishnah does not indicate that vetch is permitted during Shemitah. Why not? Because it says Zera, or it's not our Mishnah, it's a brisa. Zera Alufa Elyon. It says that the seeds of the upper part of the loof plant, Zera Krisha, the seeds of the Krishan plant, Zera B'Tolah, the seeds of onions, Zera Lefetz, the seeds of turnips, utznonos, and radishes, of Bashar Zironegida, and all types of vegetables of garden variety vegetables, of all types of seeds of garden variety vegetables. Sheni, where the seeds are not eaten, it was our Mishnah. It's our Mishnah that there's no chiyuv of trumas u'maisus on them because they're not edible. They're exempt from Shemitah as well. The Tailo look concerning this. Rabbi Yisrael Absironi Soda. Saying it applies not just to garden vegetables, but also to field vegetables, where they have seeds which are inedible, such as kutza seed and bikia seed, but they're not edible, so there's no shmita in them, nor any maasros. It sounds like only the seed, or bikia low, but the fodder itself does have a din of shmita and a din of svichim. So it says Gemara, maybe that which is stated that you're allowed to acquire vetch from anybody, and you don't have to be afraid of svichim, it's generically. When you're acquiring something, you don't know if it's suspicious or not. But if indeed he's a person who's suspect, then you're not allowed to buy it from during Shemitah. So the vetch is only also when you buy it from somebody who it's unclear what the status is, but when it's clear what the status is, then it's not also, well, not that it's clear. When there's a reasonable suspicion that the status is prohibited, then it's prohibited. Zara Lufa Elio. Do you have a header here? You go straight to Kini Masliso? Kini Masliso is the way to read our Mishnah. The Mishnah means that Zera Ha'elyon Shel Luf. It's not the seed of the upper loof, but rather the upper seed of the loof. Meaning that the loof has two types of seeds, one down below in the ground and one up in the leaves, and that's the one which we're talking about. Okay? I'm sure it's all very exciting to you, not really relevant. Okay. Why don't we call people in now for the Siyum? The last Mishnah in Ma'aser Sheni speaks about what happens if you plant seeds from a vegetable which is truma. Now, normally, if you plant, let's say, grain, which was made truma, then you're in big trouble. Whatever grows midrabanan is truma, and you have to conduct yourself as if it's truma. It's not right. You're on tsaros. But this is a case, the last Mishnah was talking about a case where the vegetable itself was truma. But you didn't plant the vegetable, you planted the seed which is in the vegetable. So in that case, the Mishnah says you are right. We don't find you in that case. So then the Gemara says, Hata Itasa. There's a certain woman, Havali are Zuvin de Truma. She had Yarzuvin of Truma. And Yarzuvin, he says here in English, it's not going to help you much. It's called amaranth. Okay? And an amaranth, you know what it is?
I've heard it's kind of a plant, right?
It's kind of, obviously it's kind of plant. Yes. So amaranth bubblegum. So she had some amaranth again, which is this time a vegetable where the leaves are eaten and not the seeds. So go kupsan, it was inside her basket. Naflu leginsa, so it fell into her garden. V'tzamchun, the seeds fell into her garden, not the leaves. The seeds fell into her garden and they grew. As uvda kumer Rabbi Yochanan, so the Maisa came from Rabbi Yochanan v'shara, and he said whatever grows is permissible, and we do not say that it's truma again because it grew not from the part which was truma, but rather from the seeds within. Amle Chia bar Abba, so Rabbi Chia bar Abba said, now Rabbi Yochanan was an Israeli. Rabbi Chia bar Abba was a Babylonian. So he said, so Rabbi Chia bar Abba said to Rabbi Yochanan, V'lam masnisu, is in our Mishnah. It says, Af al pi shavi and truma harei li'achelu. It says that even though the seeds of the vegetables, even though the father, meaning the vegetables are truma, the seeds can be eaten. So of course it doesn't mean that the seeds themselves are eaten. It can't mean that because the seeds are inedible, right? It must mean that when the seeds fell into the ground and they grew again, so whatever grows is not truma. Whatever grows you're allowed to eat. Amar Lei, so he said this is a great Siyum for Yerushalmi Masechta. Amar Lei, so Rabbi Yochanan said, Bavlaya, you Babylonian, you. Man, the Gaius lo chaspa. Only once I took off the potshar, the piece of pottery from over the Mishnah, Ashkechitz Marganitza. Did you find the jewel underneath it? Right, I was just saying, frequent in the Gemara. Did you find at Omar? Only then could you say v'lo mas, or rather, a complaint says at Omar v'lo mas nisu, or you didn't understand that that's what the Mishnah meant before I told you now, and now you're coming to tell me that it's not, that it's a Mishnah. The only way you understood this is because I explained to you what the Mishnah meant to say. Okay. Hajlon Mesechus Ma'asros, V'Adrochalon Daglon Mesechus Ma'asros, V'Tatachalon, L'Nisnashim Nachum Mesechus Ma'asros, L'Nisnashim Non Lo Ba'amadei Lo Ba'adam Madasi. Hajlon Mesechus Ma'asros, V'Adrochalon Daglon Mesechus Ma'asros, V'Tatachalon, L'Nisnashim Nachum Mesechus Ma'asros, L'Nisnashim Non Lo Ba'amadei Lo Ba'amadasi. Hajlon Mesechus Ma'asros, V'Adrochalon Daglon Mesechus Ma'asros, V'Tatachalon, L'Nisnashim Nachum Mesechus Ma'asros, L'Nisnashim Non Lo Ba'amadei Lo Ba'amadasi. Okay. We're starting now Masechta Ma'aser Sheni. Therefore, what talk is tonight's plot? Tonight's Dalit already?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Really? No. Today's your Dalit. Today's his vote.
No. Today's the 15th.
Today's 15th. Today's 15th of Tavis.
It was the 15th, 16th.
Well, you Dalit. This is supposed to be Dalit.
So today's Tezvav, yeah. It's really Tezzayin already. Tonight's Tezzayin. No, we count Tezvav though. Really? We're that far behind? Gee. Alright, anyway, by the end of the evening we won't be that far behind. Okay. Says the Mishnah. Ma'aser Sheni. Hey Ma'achanoso. You can't sell it. Vein Mashkanoso. You can't give it as collateral. Vein Machlifanoso. You cannot barter it. You can't weigh food opposite it. Even Yerushalmi. You read Yerushalmi, and Ma'aser Sheni is edible in Yerushalmi, right? You can't say to your friend, here's wine of Ma'aser Sheni, the same Lishem, and give me oil. Even though it's not an official exchange, as the world will discuss, it's still awesome. The Chain Charcoal base is true by any other type of fruit as well, which is Ma'aser Sheni. Have a nice themselves that but when they can do is give to each other as gifts. That's permissible. Ma'aser Behema, similarly Ma'aser Behema was when they used to put all the animals in a pen, and every 10th animal would be made in Ma'aser Behema. you're not allowed to sell when it's alive and whole, right? V'lo ba'mum chai. Not even if it's a ba'mum, if it's alive or shechted, unless it was redeemed beforehand. Vein mekachi mosishin, you can't use it to marry a woman because it's not really yours. Ha-bechor, a bechor mochinoso tamim chai, can be sold by the Kohen, even while it's alive and without blemish, because it's his money. That's interesting. The Chaim Kanievsky quotes in Machlokas, the Bavli Yerushalmi in this respect. The Bavli, we obviously haven't seen the Yerushalmi yet, but he says the Bavli holds this is talking about Dafka B'zman Hazeh. When it's no longer, when a B'chor is not really a korban anymore. Right? It's not because you don't sacrifice B'choris anymore, no Beis HaMikdash. But B'zman Beis HaMikdash had status of korban when it was alive, you're not allowed to sell it. The Yerushalmi holds it doesn't make a difference. It's always the money of a Kohen. And therefore, even if it's alive without blemish, the time there's a Beis HaMikdash, you're still allowed to sell it. It doesn't make a difference. Okay? And when it's a Ba'mum, if it's alive or if it's dead, because it's considered to be money of the Kohen, it could be sold. You can use it to marry a woman. Cannot redeem Ma'aser Sheni not on an Asimon. Everybody knows that Asimon is used for phone calls, right?
Oh, right.
They don't have them in Israel anymore. That's it. No more Asimonim. You save them? I don't know if they're worth anything. Okay. Yeah. The end of an era. No more Asimonim. But anyway, here means a slug. And Asimon means a slug. In modern Hebrew, those are called Asimonim because they have no engraved value on them. But it means a slug. Nor on a coin which is no longer negotiable, a lira. Nor money which is not in your domain right now. That's money which you have access to. Okay? Says more, you have that header? I have it too. But, yes. No jumping anymore. Ma'aser Sheni Ma'aser Sheni can't be sold, etc. It's called holy. The Ptei Moshe brings on the pasuk Chom Asaretz v'Gomer Kodesh Lashem. So korban you can't buy and sell. Ma'aser Sheni can't buy and sell either. It's not susceptible to buying and selling. So you cannot give it as collateral. Now I don't know exactly why the bracha, the bar is different. I guess it's just why it's called a bracha, not to tell us something else, and then that tells us you can't make it collateral on her loan. So how can you not sell Ma'aser Sheni? A person cannot say to his friend, here's a measure of Ma'aser Sheni, even give me half price, $50 instead of $100. Here's a money is $100. Here's $100 worth of Ma'aser Sheni. Give me $50 worth of chulin, which is probably what it's worth. Can't do that. Okay? Who's the town that says you can't sell it? Right, Mayor? Baram Krabiyuda, where like Krabiyuda, B'dinu Shem Mutal L'mochra V'kav V'chomer. Krabiyuda holds should be a kav v'chomer allowing you to sell it. Yeah. No, because some sales are permissible. That's redemption. That's okay, not sale. But that's the answer. The answer. What? Who redeems? The person himself. Got the difference? But in answer to your question, there will be cases in which it's permissible to sell Ma'aser Sheni. Okay? We're going to see right in Amud Beis. It's not a blanket principle. Okay, so says Gemara, so who's the one that says you can't sell? Rab Meir. Ram Rabbi Yehuda, but like Rabbi Yehuda, b'dinu she'em mutar l'mochor. Really, logically, they should be permitted to sell it. B'kav v'chomer. What's kav v'chomer? Ma'im truma she'asru l'zorim. Truma, a non-Kohen is not allowed to eat, obviously. Mutar l'mochor allowed to sell it. Kohen is allowed to sell truma. Even Yisrael is allowed to sell truma, right? As long as he inherited it from his grandfather who was a Kohen, right? So, if truma, which is forbidden for Zorim, mutar l'mochor, ma'aser sheni shu mutar l'zorim, ma'aser sheni, which a non-Kohen is allowed to eat when he brings it to Yerushalmi, Eino din she'em mutar l'mochor, is not kav v'chomer allowed to sell it, right? It's more in his jurisdiction. He's certainly allowed to sell it. So, sure he can. Zar can sell truma, sure. If he owns it. What? What? Doesn't say code. Well, it does say kodesh. I don't know exactly why you can't sell. Why you can sell truma. Truth is, it is a little bit difficult because I'm sure maybe it doesn't. I would assume it does say kodesh about truma somewhere, or maybe it doesn't talk. Maybe it's only Ma'aser Sheni which is kodesh. That would explain it. Ma'aser Sheni is likened to a korban. Truma isn't. Nonetheless, Rabbi Yehuda makes the kav v'chomer. Truma is more severe. It could be sold, so kav v'chomer Ma'aser Sheni. But we will counter that and say that maybe Taka Ma'aser Sheni is more chomer because it says kedusha by it. Right. That might be indicative of its special status. The fact that's probably true. The fact that it can be eaten in Yerushalmi only indicates a quasi-korban status. Likely. Makes sense. Okay? Right. Well, this machlokas Rabbi Yehuda and Meir. That's precisely the machlokas here. So does it have a quasi-korban status or not? So it says, this is exactly the response that Gemara gives, right? Truma doesn't require a wall. Just for, right? Ma'aser Sheni does require walls. So maybe Ma'aser Sheni is different. Alright, it says, well, let's try another kav v'chomer. Bikurim yelchichu. Bikurim should prove that you're allowed to sell Ma'aser Sheni. Bikurim should do mechitza. Bikurim after you brought to Yerushalmi, yet nonetheless, mutar l'mochor. You're allowed to sell them. So saying you should be by Ma'aser Sheni, you should be allowed to sell them. No, says the word it's not comparable. Lo even martyr bikurim. Bikurim might not be the same. Dana types him as the man. Bikurim, there's no redemption process. So it's Bikurim, it's not strong enough. If you did sell Bikurim, or try to redeem it, it doesn't work. Ma'aser Sheni, if you try to redeem it, it does work, right? Ma'aser Sheni, redemption is part and parcel of the process normally. So we see that Ma'aser Sheni might be more significant than Bikurim in this regard, precisely because it does have the concept of redemption. Redemption indicates a higher level of kedusha. A korban can redeem if it has the mum, right? Ma'aser Sheni can redeem. Bikurim cannot. Bikurim is a lower level of kedusha. So maybe Bikurim you're allowed to sell, Ma'aser Sheni you're not allowed to sell. Okay? So it says more shvi'is tochiach. Let's bring a proof from Shemitah. Sheitofeses tameh. If I have Shemitah fruits and I sell it, what happens to the money? I have Shemitah for the fruit and I sell it. What happens to the money that I get? Or it doesn't? Which one is correct? It takes on the kedusha Shemitah, right? She tofeses his tameh. Right, it does take on the kedusha of Shemitah. And nonetheless, you are allowed to sell it. Right? So certainly Ma'aser Sheni should be allowed to sell. Rabbi Yehuda, nah. Mizu. You want to bring a proof from this? That's different. We said in Masechta Shvi'is, the way redeem Shvi'is is by selling it. We had a machlokas in Shvi'is. I forget, Rabbi Yochanan, Reish Lakish, I think. Can he redeem Shvi'is derech, no, Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Eliezer. Can he redeem Shvi'is derech chilul or not? But the primary way of redeeming Shvi'is is precisely by sale. That's the difference between Ma'aser Sheni and Shvi'is. Shvi'is is redeemed by sale. Ma'aser Sheni is redeemed by redemption. but there's no comparison because there the sale is not what we would call a sale by Ma'aser Sheni. That is the redemption. So therefore, it's not comparable. Says the Gemara, Rabbi said, "Matar ein morchim also." Who's the Tara says you're not allowed to sell Ma'aser Sheni? Rabbi Meir. So Rabbi Meir, like we said before, Biram, Rabbi Yehuda, like Rabbi Yehuda, B'dinu shem mutar l'mochro. We should make a kavachom and say it's mutar to sell. Umayim shvi shem porin chov midam meha shmita, which can't redeem a debt from its value, from its money. Mutar l'mochro allowed to sell. Ma'aser Sheni, in other words, you're not allowed to redeem. You're not allowed to do schur per shvius. One thing is not allowed to do schur per shvius. You can't redeem. You can't pay back a debt with shemitah fruit. It's like paying your obligation. Shemitah fruit is forbidden. Okay, is that clear? So it says the Gemara, Ma'aser Sheni should porachol midamav. Ma'aser Sheni where you can redeem a debt from its value. Now we don't pass it this way. The Gillian Ashrat brings down that we talk in Paskin that you cannot redeem an obligation, pay back an obligation with Ma'aser Sheni money. It's forbidden. But that's only because we pass in the Kermeir. Like Rabbi Yehuda, it's permissible. Rabbi Yehuda, you can fulfill an obligation with Ma'aser Sheni money. Okay? Now, how do we see that? Rabbi Yehuda wants to Bruce point for a Mishnah later in the Masechta. The Tita we learned later in the Masechta. This is one of the cases where you're allowed to sell Meiser. And we'll obviously, the Gemara later on, we'll get to the fourth paragraph, we'll discuss why in this case you're allowed to sell Meiser. Right? This is one of the cases you're allowed to sell Meiser Sheni. So I buy for you Meiser Sheni. Now, I'm doing it by Mashiach. I'm going to pull it, take possession of it, and afterwards I'm going to pay you for it. Okay? Masha Chemenu Meiser B'Sela. I bought for you Meiser B'Sela and I do Mashiach. V'lo speak Livdosar Chamershtein, but I haven't yet been able to pay for it until it's worth $2. But when I did the Mashiach on it, it was worth $1. Now, by the time I come to pay for it, it's worth $2. So I have to pay $2. The question is how much you, the seller, get. You, the seller, only get $1. The rest of it is considered redemption money. Because when I bought it for you, it's only worth $1, right? That's not the point we're trying to make, though. The point the Pnei Moshe says from the end of the Mishnah. The end of the Mishnah says, what happens in a case where when I bought it, it was worth $1? Wait. When I bought it, it was worth $2. And I didn't redeem it until it went down in value to $1. Okay, now it's only worth $1. So in that case, I give you $1, which is Ma'aser Sheni money, and another $1 is chulin, which I give you as well. Which I'll give you $2 because when I got it for you, it was worth $2. That's why I did Mashiach on. But now, since now is when I'm redeeming it as Ma'aser Sheni, when I give the money over, so right now it's only worth $1. So $1 which I give you is Ma'aser Sheni money. The other $1 I give you, which I have to give you because of the purchase price obligation, that's chulin. Now, why am I bringing down this whole thing? Because we see here I'm paying back an obligation with Ma'aser Sheni money. How is that? Because when I did the Mashiach, did I pay you yet? No. So what did now the purchase price become on me? It became but what did it become? What conceptually? An obligation became a loan, right? So I'm paying back my loan with Ma'aser Sheni. I know you don't like it. The Gemara is not going to like it either. But you get the idea, right? Okay, you understand it. You don't like it, right? So the Gemara is okay. The Gemara say here I'm repaying an obligation with Ma'aser Sheni money. Because at the time that I did the Mashiach, I hadn't yet paid. It became an obligation. Later on, when I pay back, I'm fulfilling my obligation with Ma'aser Sheni money. Okay. Makes sense? Says what? Makes sense. The Gemara rejects it. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi said, Shan Yohi. There it's different. Shemishah Rishoina Ma'aser Sheni Chayev. From the first moment, he's chayev to give a Ma'aser Sheni. In other words, it's not an obligation independent of Ma'aser Sheni, which is what you were saying before, obviously, right? Here the obligation of Ma'aser Sheni are one of the same. So therefore, there it's different. You can't pay back another obligation, Ma'aser Sheni. Here it's obligation which has to do with Ma'aser Sheni. Okay? So, ilu chayev hayol lo. If you could bring me a case where you had a pre-existing obligation, and then he gave Ma'aser Yos, then that would be a nice raya. But this is not a good raya. Right?
I think it's one of the first times in Yerushalmi that
it's a Bavli type of thing. It's a lomdus, right? Yeah. But don't worry, it stops. It doesn't go further. Amar Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda said, "Mastisa Namra Kain Shu Asa L'Mochro." I'll bring an interesting proof, although it's not from Ma'aser Sheni itself. They're not so Ma'aser Sheni. It's Nantaman. We learned over there in by Kochim, by a korban. This is korban shlomi, which you have a degree of ownership in, right? Because obviously it's the korban which you bring and you get to eat from. So it says there, amazing kiddush. What happens if you gave this korban as a wedding, in order to make a kiddushin with a woman? So the Gemara says there, the Mishnah says there, amazing kiddush. You give it to her intentionally, so it's a valid kiddushin. Shogeg lo kiddush. If you give it to her unintentionally, it's not a valid kiddushin. Now I forgot what the difference is.
Probably because if you would have known, it would have been. You wouldn't have given it to start out with. What was her intention to accept it?
No, they have to be aware of the deficit of this. The deficit of giving it as kiddushin. Is that what you're saying? Saying amazing, it's not. It is a good kiddushin.
That's right.
Yeah.
They both know. Because then they both know what the true value of the object is, and therefore they both have concurred. There's Gemiras Das on the part of both, so that this should be that this whatever the value it is to them, that's going to be the value of the kiddushin. But if it's showcase, then they don't know the true value of it. Therefore,
yeah, well, that's what I thought you were saying. Yeah, okay, you understand what you're saying? Try again.
It's when both parties know what the score is, then it's a kiddushin.
Yeah, it's illegal, but it's not unworkable. In other words, it's not the proper mode of conduct, but it still works. You're giving her something of value, so to speak.
Don't know what the story is, then it's not a kiddushin.
Right. Okay. So, now if you say you're allowed to sell kochim, so you should be allowed to be mekadosh them. Shouldn't be that b'diavad it works, right? You should be allowed to be mekadosh with them. Anything you can sell, you can use to contract kiddushin. So it says more. Wait a minute. Anything you're not allowed to sell, not allowed to use to contract the marriage. How can you say this? I don't remember this Mishnah is a raya or a kasha. I think it's a raya. No, it's a raya. Sounds like it, but it's not. See, it's a statement. Anything you're not allowed to sell, you're not allowed to use contract marriage. We learned like this. This is reason number one why not to learn Yerushalmi, by the way, with women. Ready?
With what?
With women. Not allowed to buy slaves, real estate, or impure animals for Shemitah money. If you did buy all these forbidden substances for Shemitah money, so you have to refine you, and you got to take money corresponding to that value and use it to eat, use it for Shemitah fruit. Rabbi Yossi. No, the money's gone. The money's gone. You can't retrieve the money, right? So you have to take a like sum and eat it and use it to purchase fruit and eat that fruit as if it's Shemitah money. If it's Shemitah fruit. So fine. Rabbi Yossi says, Zois Ameres, from the fact that you cannot use the money for Avoni Karkos Behemoth Meah. Of course, also, you extrapolate, Shasli Kachisha Midvei Shvius. You can't buy a woman from Shemitah fruit, right? She's no better than an Eved in Karka and Behemoth Meah, right? So, Dilchein, which in Yerushalmi lingo means the elokein. If you wouldn't say this, Mabi Kodesh and Mabi Kodesh Shivcha, what would you say? Would you say that this is between buying a woman and buying a slave? How about it not? It's exactly the same thing, right? So just like you can't buy a slave with Shemitah fruit, you can't buy a wife with Shemitah fruit. Okay? Rabbi Yossi B'Shem Rabbi Zira. So all this is by kachim. So extrapolate, say just like by kachim, we can't use it to be makarish a woman, and kiddushin and mecher the same thing. You can't use it to buy. So to buy ma'aser sheni, we want to say it's the same parameters. Probably because we said in that's the same parameters of kedusha by both, right? Kedusha's korb and Kedusha's ma'aser sheni. That's why we extrapolate the parameters. Okay, that's one interpretation. Right, you can't sell ma'aser sheni. Rabbi Yossi B'Shem Rabbi Zira and Rabbi Yehuda B'Shem Rabbi Yehuda Divrei Kolu said no. Everybody agrees you can't buy and sell ma'aser sheni. There's an inherent, not because of an inherent deficit in the buying and selling, because it's like a carbon, but rather pulo, because of its pepper. So the Gross says it's a type mistake. It should be zilzula. The zilzula means because it makes a mockery of ma'aser sheni. So it's a gzera that they made. For some reason, by Truma, we're not afraid of this mockery. And ma'aser sheni, we're afraid of this mockery. I know exactly why. Maybe Kohanim are more, yeah. Maybe something which is by definition exclusive to Kohanim is by definition not as problematic. That could be. It's a good spot. Okay. Says Rabbi yet another reason. Rabbi everybody agrees you can't buy and sell ma'aser sheni. Why? So everybody should take go up to Yerushalayim. This is an incentive to make the Aliyah L'Rega. Period. New issue. What does it mean you can't give us collateral? That means if the creditor goes into the house of the debtor, right? He shouldn't take his ma'aser sheni as collateral. Tani, we also learned a variation on this theme. V'lomar hidden also. The debtor cannot give it as collateral to the creditor. Okay, they're two separate things. Mashkin means the creditor comes to the debtor. To laharin means the debtor comes to the creditor. Okay? I don't know if we've ever seen this explicitly in the Bible. It's such a difference. But that's interesting. A mashkon and a hiron. Okay? Rings a bell somewhere in dim recesses of my memory, but I don't remember where. And in correspondence, you can't give ma'aser sheni to a storekeeper and say, here, Yanko, keep eating this ma'aser sheni as I buy more and more stuff from you, and this should be the payment of whatever I owe you. It's not proper for the ma'aser sheni. Avaru mishkein. So here the Gra also makes a very nice change in the Girsa. Oh no, he does it later on. He doesn't do it here. Scratch that. He does it later on. Apologize. Just ignore what I just said. Over Mishke, over V'yirei. What if I didn't do it right, and I did make the ma'aser sheni a mashkon or a hirun? Yeba kada. Let's say in this matter like the following statement. Yeba means yeba. Let's say in this like the following statement. Hoicha ma'aser sheni shelo. Somebody eats his own ma'aser sheni outside Yerushalayim, obviously, because inside Yerushalayim, gesundheit. Yeah, what's the problem, right? So hoicha ma'aser sheni shelo. Yitzhak bein b'shoy bein mezid was unintentional or unintentional. Yitzhak l'shamayim. It's an interesting language. You should cry out to the heavens. David Rebbe Shagam Lil. In other words, what do you have to do? Only tshuva. So there's no restitution. Rabbi Omer shoygek. If he did it unintentionally, Yitzhak Shemayim, then tshuva is nice. Mezid, only cash. Yachsu dam l'un kaimun. You gotta pay for your sins. So in that case, you have to give money corresponding to the value of ma'aser sheni weight in order to regenerate a Meiser Sheni issue here. No, because not a lav sheish b'koris. It's a lav. Lo suchal lecho b'sharecho, but it's not a lav sheish b'koris. It's no chatas. V'maya mos, that's if it was fruit. What if it already had been redeemed as money and used the money? Shoge, even did it unintentionally, Yitzhak L'Shmai should pray out to the heavens. Mazid, if he did it intentionally, Yachsudam the Kohen, you got to pay. Divrei Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, it's corner of Shimon Gamliel. So even Rabbi Shimon Gamliel holds where it was already money, then you have to make restitution as money if you were intentional. And Rabbi, of course, takes it even a notch further. Rabbi Omer, Ben Shoge, Ben Mazid, Yachsudam of Lim Koimon. It was already money. Whether it's intentional or unintentional, cash, no more, no less. Rabbi Zinu Shem Chizkiah said, Halacha Rebbe by most, if the Meiser Sheni you consumed was already for money, you got to pay back, whether it was shogi or mazid, or Shin Gamliel ben Peiros, if it's fruit, then you don't have to pay back, like Shin Gamliel said. Be that as it may. We see here that according to Rebbe, there is a fine. You fine the guy for having done the wrong thing, for eating the Meiser Sheni. So our intent is to extrapolate and understand the same thing as by mashkin. When in proper mashkin, you find the guy, and he's got to make some sort of restitution to the Meiser Sheni. Okay? Says Gemara, I'm Rabbi Yala. Rabbi Yala said, Ma'asoya, this is just a continuation. Ma'asoya voyuk Rebbe mukamos. There's a Ma'asoya, they pass like Rebbe by money, as it just said. That's one interpretation, one pshat, that you do find the guy. But another pshat, another approach, I should say, is not to find the guy who made it a mashkin or here home. Oh, Yevel Kada, maybe it'll apply to this the following case. It's for Rosh Hashanah. Vimnato Hivrich, if you did it, Yakor, uproot it. Lo Akaperosov, what happens if you didn't uproot your fruit? You left it there. What's the status? Rabbi Ba and Rabbi Ami, and here the Gra changes the girsa to not from Rabbi Ami to our old friend who we've missed for two Masechtas. Is that Rabbi Law? All of a sudden he came back. So it's a mystery. Okay, but it's a Shemitah issue. Shemitah was his Masech, Shvius was his Masechta. All right, Rabbi Barayami have Yasib B'tzor, Asuv du Komer, my screen for them, Ho Rabbi Elo, which is Rabbi Law, Yishapchu Peiraisa, we find the guy. We got to spill out his fruit. In other words, if he didn't uproot the tree, which he planted less than 30 days before Rosh Hashanah, we still make him throw out the fruit. Rabbi Ba said, I did not join with them in this psak when they went up to the second floor to vote on it. Nafkun v'shaman Rabbi Yoina, Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Tavli, and they went out and heard Rabbi Yoina, Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Tavli, both saying B'Shem Rabbi Lezer, we do not add on new stuff to Gzera, no new chumras. Right? It's true, you can't plant within 30 days of Rosh Hashanah. But if you did, we don't make the fruit also. Rabbi Yitzi, Rabbi Yitzchak, another version, same concept. Rabbi Yitzi, Rabbi Yitzchaki, Bar Tavli, Shem Rabbi Lezer, Ein Moisifin al Halacha. You don't add it on to the Halacha. I think it's the same idea, just phrased differently. Rabbi Yaakov Baracha b'Shem Rabbi Zira said, so according to this, we wouldn't find the guy. If the guy made his Meiser Sheni collateral, so we wouldn't find the guy, just like we don't find the guy over there by the Shemitah stuff. So says Gemara and resolving the issue, Rabbi Yaakov Baracha b'Shem Rabbi Zira said, Mimandatari Eimem Mashkin since it says there, Mishnah, Ein Mashkin also, you don't give Meiser Sheni as collateral, and now the Gra changes the girsa. V'lo Tani Ein Marin also, and it doesn't say that you can't make it Hirun. Hadamara teaches us over a mashkin. If the creditor came and took it as a mashkon, then you're not konesim. Okay? And you are konesim, sorry. Over a mashkin kontinoso, then you do find it. Over here in ain't kontinoso, If you again, the Gra changed Girsa. If you transgress the Hirun, we don't find the creditor. Why the dichotomy? Because in the case of a mashkan, the creditor came and collected it, so we find him for having come and collected it improperly. I should have left the Ma'aser Sheni in the debtor's house, so he took it improperly. We find him for it. In the latter case, in the case where the debtor came on his own volition and gave it to the creditor, so why should we find the creditor? It wasn't his idea, it was the debtor's idea. So in the case of a Hiron, we let the guy who has it, meaning the creditor, keep it. Okay? And don't find him to have to give it back, whatever the case may be. Okay? Says the Gemara, V'lo shokin k'neged mos. You cannot weigh opposite Ma'aser Sheni money. Even if the money which you're weighing is a candidate to become Ma'aser Sheni money for redemption, it still can't be weighed opposite the Ma'aser Sheni or opposite money of Ma'aser Sheni. What about you want to weigh one Ma'aser Sheni opposite the other Ma'aser Sheni? It's not Chulin, which is on its way to becoming Ma'aser Sheni. It's already Ma'aser Sheni. All right, it's not a candidate already as Ma'aser Sheni. Oil so Ma'aser Sheni. If he musliyemes low and he knows how much it weighs, Maushish go connected as sell Ma'aser Sheni achers. Take musliyemes low, can he weigh another one opposite it to know the exact weight of the second one? Similarly, ha'achin shechoku Maushi yishkulu zeh neged zeh. Two brothers who split up Ma'aser Sheni from the estate of their father, can they weigh one Ma'aser Sheni opposite the other to know how much each one weighs to divide it up equitably? So we don't know. We don't resolve these questions. Good questions, right? No resolution. Weiter. Tanan. Lo yomer adam chaver, a person should not say to his friend, Yerushalmi, gain to the next part of Mishnah. See, if this is a Kavanaki, I'd have a new header here, which you wouldn't have. But this way, none of us have it. The said in our Mishnah that he can't do exchanges, right? No exchanges from Ma'aser Sheni. So now we learned in our Mishnah. Lo yomer adam l'chaver, a person should say to Yerushalmi, to his friend, Hey l'chayayin, here's wine, Hey l'shemen, give me oil. Hey l'chashemen, here's wine, V'tein li'ayin, give me oil. Here's oil, and give me wine, V'tein li'ayin. Avlo yomer lo, but what can he say to him? This is the chab. Hey l'chayayin, Shein l'chayayin. Here's wine because you don't have wine. Hey l'chashemen, Shein l'chashemen. Here's oil because you don't have oil. So that's allowed because obviously there's no overt implication there, even though there may be some, covert understanding, but overtly there's nothing wrong. However, the following question is a good question. Here's wine, she'ainli shemen, because I don't have oil. Hint, hint, hint. Haven't boiled meimer also. They want to say it's also. Ashkachtani mutter. They found a bright say this mutter. Person's allowed to use that kind of a loophole. Why is this not us because of barter? I said, here's wine because I don't have oil. So this is when we came into the there's no agreement here. There's no binding contract. I gave you wine. I said, here's wine because I don't have oil.
I say thank you very much.
I say thank you, right. I'm sorry that you don't have any oil. Thank you for the gift. Right, so since it's not binding contractually, so therefore it's not considered to be a true barter. So why is he saying to him, here's wine because I don't have oil? Why isn't that contractually obliging? No, we touch it up like this. He means, if I had oil, I would have given you the oil too. In other words, I do not, even though I know what he means, and he knows what he means, but I make myself dumb. And I assume that what he really meant is, here's the wine because I don't have oil, but if I would have had oil, I would have given to you oil too. Anyway, they can both give to each other free gifts of Ma'aser Sheni. That's okay. Without any barter. Masisi Rameir, Chor our mission is only going to cry Meir. To Rabbi Meir, because Meir is the one who says, that gifts are not like sales. Meaning that during Yovel, gifts don't go back. Gifts remain permanently by the recipient. So Chor our mission is like Rameir, not like Rabbanan. Our Mishnah is even going like Rabbanan. Okay? Even Rabbanan can agree in our Mishnah. Alright, this is a little bit long, the next paragraph. It's not long, but it takes a little bit of explanation. So let's stop here for this evening. And we are not bad, we're only 2 blocks behind.